so that my youth wouldn't be filled with regrets. On the eve of graduating in my senior year, I used a game of truth or dare as an excuse to publicly confess to Willow, the campus beauty I had secretly loved for 4 years, amid everyone's cheering and teasing. Willow didn't respond for a long time, just when I thought she was figuring out how to reject me. She chose truth, and she even said that she had once had feelings for me, had even loved me. So, the next day, when Willow made her relationship official on WeChat Moments, I immediately got ready to like and comment, but when I looked closely, wait, why is the photo of her and Makoto, that top student from high school? Chapter 1. When I woke up and saw Willow's official post on WeChat Moments, I thought I was still drunk. After getting up and drinking a glass of water, I checked my phone again. Willow and Makoto's faces were right there in the center of the screen, so shocking I almost choked on my water. I had thought that after last night, my relationship with Willow would take a huge leap forward. Turns out that leap went straight into a filthy ditch. I first left a comment under her post, "Congratulations." Then I went back to check the dozens of messages that had woken me up this morning. They were all from friends who had been drinking with me last night, sending their condolences. I replied to all of them with the same line, "I'm fine, still alive." But after replying to my middle school desk mate, David, I added another sentence. "It's like Disgusting's mom opening the door for Disgusting all the way home." Willow had liked Makoto for 5 years. It wasn't until the day the college entrance exams ended that she finally gathered the courage to slip him a love letter. Makoto didn't even look at it, just said, "Sorry." That night, I stayed with her in a KTV, singing heartbreak songs all night, which is why, during the 4 years of college group gatherings later on, whenever there was a song-guessing game, I was basically unbeatable. On Valentine's Day the second year, she gave me a blue scarf she had knitted herself, but only after wearing it did I realize it had been made for Makoto. She had wanted to confess to him, but he didn't accept it. She didn't want it to go to waste, so she gave it to me, listening to her choking back tears as she poured her heart out. I thought her feelings for Makoto would fade away, just like the tears she had cried dry, but in the third year, she confessed again. After being rejected by Makoto, she sat alone in the park all night. The next day, she caught a cold and ended up hospitalized. When she called me, she didn't mention the confession at all, just said she wanted to have a bowl of the rice porridge from our high school gate with me. In the 4th year, Willow started learning baking. She made all kinds of pastries for me and asked how they tasted. Later, on Makoto's birthday, she gave him a cake she had carefully made herself. All she got in return was a simple "thank you." In the 5th year, I confessed. She said she had loved me too, not liked, loved. And then the very next day, she went public with someone else. Isn't that ridiculous? During those 5 years when she rushed headlong toward Makoto without hesitation, she kept failing, over and over again. Yet before reaching her happy ending, she somehow found the time to love me for a moment. After replying to all my friends, I finally noticed she had sent me a message, maybe because I didn't respond to her under the WeChat post. She specifically messaged me privately. She said thank you for my companionship over the years, and hoped I could find someone I truly love. Wow. Playing the hypocrite, doing something shameful while pretending to be virtuous. Even a passing aunt could tell who I liked. Yet she chose to pretend she was blind, so I acted like I didn't see it. Turned off my phone, and buried myself in a game. Chapter 2. I still remember that night at the KTV. Before we left, she sang one last song, saying she wanted to sing it for me. It was that classic, "At Least I Still Have You." At the moment she stood on her tiptoes and put the scarf around my neck, my heart skipped a beat. Her eyes sparkled as she said, "George, blue really suits you." The freshly made rice porridge she brought to the hospital had already gone cold by the time it reached me. She pouted, complaining about her weak health, while half-jokingly saying that other people's boyfriends would feed their girlfriends, to ease the guilt of eating so many desserts every day. We would go running laps on the track together every night. I've never believed in that so-called more than friends, less than lovers. From the very beginning, I stayed by Willow's side because I wanted to date her. Year after year, she confessed to Makoto, again and again. I chose to give up, yet I kept getting pulled back in by her ambiguous, almost flirtatious words and actions. She never said she liked me, but she never pushed me away either. And yet, every time I tried to take a step forward, she would immediately push my hand away from her wrist and tell me, "I've always seen you as a good friend." Chapter 3. By the time I finished 3 consecutive rounds of gaming, it was already evening. The grilled lamb skewers my roommate brought back for me had gone cold on the table, basically turned into jerky, and nearly chipped my teeth. There were dozens of unread messages on WeChat again. David said he had asked around and found out that Willow and Makoto had both been admitted to the same graduate school. I had asked Willow before, there were perfectly good schools in this city for her. So why insist on going somewhere so far away? She said she was tired of staying here after 4 years of college and wanted a change of environment. I don't know why she had to hide it from me, even if, when she was choosing schools, she had just told me it was because she wanted to be with Makoto. I wouldn't have shamelessly tried to stick close to her, and I definitely wouldn't have, out of fear of a long-distance relationship in the coming years, impulsively confessed to her and ended up in this awkward situation. What kind of brain-dead nonsense is this? I took a bite of the dried lamb, swallowed it with hot water, and finally felt like I came back to life as I vented to David on the phone. A backup is a backup. Was there really any need to hide it from me? It's not like I didn't know she liked Makoto. If she wants to cross mountains and seas for love, what am I supposed to do? Summon a tornado and drag her back? And what's with saying she loved me? Was she just afraid that one day if Makoto dumps her, she won't have anyone left to comfort her? Hearing me go off, David casually dropped another bombshell. They're going on a graduation trip together today. They should have boarded their flight by now. I looked at the screenshots of their WeChat moments he sent, as well as the 2 plane tickets Makoto posted. The destination was exactly the place Willow and I had agreed on 6 months ago for our graduation trip. I had spent months planning that trip, to the point where I even remembered which bus to take from the hotel to every single attraction. And yet, all of it had ended up as a wedding dress tailored for someone else. I took another hard bite of the lamb and said, if she dares to use my itinerary, I swear I'll tear her apart. Chapter 4. The next day, Willow sent me several photos. There were pictures of the sea, the sunset, hot pot and barbecue, bonfire dances, and also photos of her and Makoto. The sea, right next to that hotel I had researched countless times. The best sunset viewing spot was the seaside food stall I had carefully chosen. The porridge-based hot pot and the 2 a.m. beach barbecue, the bright bonfire and the cheerful dancing hand in hand. She had even followed my itinerary exactly. Not a single change, not even the slightest tweak. After looking through them one by one, I replied with a smile emoji, turned on Do Not Disturb, and went back to gaming with my roommates. Everyone was buried in their graduation theses, looking like a mess. So we just ordered fried chicken and barbecue, squeezed together, gaming while chatting nonsense. Even while their hands were busy, they didn't forget to ask about the progress between me and my almost relationship. Everyone knew that out of 365 days a year, I spent 350 nights holding my phone, chatting with Willow. The other 15 nights were spent walking laps with her on the track. I said, she went on a graduation trip with her boyfriend. The room instantly fell silent, leaving only the overlapping sounds of ultimate skills from 4 phones. With a calm expression, I secured a pentakill, waved my hand, and said, no need to feel awkward. When the trash leaves, something better comes. If it's over, who knows? The next one might even be better. They exchanged looks for a moment, then all burst out laughing. That's the spirit. I've wanted to say this for a long time, that Willow never looked like a good person anyway. Exactly. What kind of decent person keeps someone hanging for 5 or 6 years? Block her, definitely block her. What a piece of trash, ruining your mood. So, encouraged by everyone, I pulled myself together and decided to start fresh. On the very day I submitted the first draft of my thesis, went camping overnight in the nearby mountains with David under the excuse of relaxing. When he shoved a girl, along with her bag, into the car, I froze for a long time before reacting. The person sitting in the passenger seat, staring at me, was named Anna. She was David's girlfriend's roommate. We had met a few times at gatherings before, and we never got along. I found her talkative, her words were just as meaningless as mine, and she loved to argue, always forcing her logic, but David insisted she was gentle and kind. A rare beauty, second only to his girlfriend. I expressed my doubts about that, and strongly condemned his shameless public display of affection. Anna said, is David planning to release you into the wild in the mountains? Those dark circles, you look like a panda. I was fastening my seatbelt, and instinctively replied, yeah. Opportunities to be carried by a national treasure don't come often. Remember to put it on your resume when you get back. Might earn you some extra points. Surprisingly, this time she didn't continue along my line of banter. Instead, she tilted her head and looked at me with a half smile. For some reason, that made me uneasy. I quickly glanced at my face in the rearview mirror. Other than the terrifyingly large dark circles, there was nothing worth that kind of smug smile. Something you want to say? I asked bluntly. She said, I heard you and Willow broke up. So she was here to watch the drama. I laughed. We were never even together. How can you call it a breakup? At most, she let go early, and I got snapped hard by the elastic band I'd been holding onto. At the fork ahead, the ticking of the left turn signal tapped steadily in the silence. Anna paused for a moment before continuing. Then cut that elastic cord. A girl who only pulls you back and keeps things ambiguous isn't worth keeping. Besides, there's nothing that special about her to make you like her that much. Isn't it just that she has a slim waist, long legs, a sweet tongue, and wins scholarships every year? Her figure isn't even as good as mine. I didn't respond. If liking Willow were only because of those things, giving her up probably wouldn't be this hard. Seeing that I didn't answer, Anna somehow pulled out a box of steam eye masks and handed it to me. For you. Use it when you can. You stare at computers and phones all day and stay up late. Aren't you afraid you'll go blind? At the red light, I looked at the words cedarwood scent printed on the box. It reminded me of half a month ago, after a gathering, when I was driving her back to school. While chatting casually with my roommates, I had mentioned in passing that I liked the smell of cedarwood. For some reason, I suddenly asked, if I cut the elastic cord, would you be happy? Anna turned her head toward me, raised a peace sign like a pair of scissors, and the smile at the corner of her lips was impossible to hide. She said, I've already prepared the scissors for you. What do you think? I gripped the steering wheel, pretending to stay calm, hiding the surprise in my eyes, and replied, tone down that smile, it's about to stretch all the way to your ears. Chapter 5. David said that after Anna found out Willow and I had gone our separate ways, she treated his girlfriend to milk tea for an entire month, and the two of them organized this camping trip overnight. David raised his eyebrows at me and said, they call it camping, but doesn't it feel more like a double date? I raised my hand to stop him and said helplessly, I thought you brought me out here to heal from heartbreak. He immediately put on the air of a relationship guru and lectured, bro, the best way to forget someone is to get someone new into your arms as soon as possible. Then he pulled out a handmade sandwich from his backpack and said, Anna knew you skipped breakfast, so she specially brought this for you, a loving breakfast from your new person. I glanced at Anna, who was cutting fruit not far away, and said calmly, I'm not at the point where I need one woman to heal the wounds left by another. Liking Willow was like a habit I had carefully cultivated over 5 years. Eating, drinking, sleeping. Every moment of my day, my mind would automatically reserve a space named Willow, to completely remove someone who occupied my entire life like that. The only person I could rely on was myself, and besides, I said, pushing the sandwich back, accepting someone else's kindness before I've fully let go of Willow, it doesn't sit right with my conscience. David stared at me thoughtfully for a moment, nodded as if he understood something profound. Then the very next second, he shoved the sandwich straight into my mouth and said with a grin, I just don't believe it. If I step on that pile of dog shit called Willow, could it really stink for 10,000 years? He clearly wasn't giving up. During the 3-day, 2-night camping trip, by rough count, David tried to matchmake me and Anna no fewer than 20 times. On the way back, he didn't even give a heads up, just woke up early out of nowhere and left with his girlfriend in a taxi, leaving me and Anna waking up, confused and staring at each other, like two helpless kids abandoned on a deserted island by their parents. Over those 2 days, Anna had clearly figured out that I wasn't interested in her. On the drive back to school, she didn't say a single word. It wasn't until I helped her carry her luggage out of the car that she pointed behind me and asked coldly, do you owe her money? She took the suitcase from me and added, why does she look like she wants to kill you? I turned around and saw Willow, her eyes red, standing at the school gate, staring fixedly at me and Anna. Trying to ease the awkwardness, I said, I owe her $1 million. Want to help me pay it back? Anna looked me up and down, rolled her eyes, and said, you're not my boyfriend. Why would I pay for you? I shrugged. Then just wait to collect my corpse. Pretending not to catch the underlying meaning in her words, I took my travel bag and turned to leave. She crossed her arms and snorted. Non-family members can't even claim the body. Can't help you there. I didn't even dare to look back, just wanted to slip away as fast as possible. But Willow called out to stop me. George, where have you been? Your roommate said you went out. You haven't been back to the dorm for 2 days, and you didn't reply to my messages. She took a few steps closer, her gaze lingering on the travel bag in my hand before shifting to Anna behind me. She asked, and who is she? Her tone sounded like she was questioning a boyfriend who hadn't come home all night. It irritated me. A friend I went camping with. No signal in the mountains, I said. I tried to leave, but Willow grabbed my bag and asked sharply, a friend? Since when did you have a friend like this that I didn't know about? Willow, after spending 3 days and 2 nights in the mountains, looking completely disheveled. Being stopped at the school gate and interrogated by her made my temper flare instantly. Don't you think you're being a bit too controlling? I asked. Her tone turned sharp as well. What do you mean I'm too controlling? Haven't I always been like this with you? If it weren't for me, you'd still be hanging around with those illiterate punks at the school gate, robbing people. She stopped mid-sentence when she noticed my expression change, and her tone immediately softened. How can I not worry about you when you're like this? Chapter 6. After I got into the best high school in the city through my entrance exams, My parents got divorced, for the sake of letting me focus entirely on my studies. They actually kept up an act in front of me for 2 whole years. Later, I accidentally caught my dad fooling around at home with another woman. That was when the truth finally came out. Otherwise, they had planned to keep it from me until after the college entrance exams. Back then, I don't know if it was teenage rebellion or just being young and reckless. But during my first and second years of high school, I did all kinds of ridiculous things. Late arrivals, early departures, skipping classes, getting into fights, calling a group of petty thugs hanging around the school gate my brothers, either pulling all-nighters at internet cafes or following those so-called brothers around picking fights. It wasn't until my senior year that my homeroom teacher grabbed me by the collar and shoved me into the seat next to Willow. He said I had a good foundation but just didn't like studying, and asked Willow to help me whenever she could. From then on, Willow started managing whether I took notes in class, whether I did practice problems after class. She monitored all 3 of my daily meals, even if it wasn't balanced. I couldn't just eat a bun and call it a day. She even strictly controlled my study progress. Every monthly exam, I had to sign my name in black and white, acknowledging how many ranks I had improved. I was practically dragged into college by her, like a prisoner being escorted under guard. On the day the exam results came out, she even joked, "One day as your teacher, forever like your parent, I'll be looking after you for life." And I really had thought about letting her take care of me for the rest of my life. I held back my emotions, not wanting to completely break down in front of her, and said, "Yeah, without you, I wouldn't even be a decent person right now." That's not what I meant. Willow reached out to grab me, but I pushed her away. I asked, "Did you have fun on your graduation trip?" She didn't expect me to bring it up so suddenly. She hesitated for a moment, then smiled gently at me. "It was pretty fun. I checked out several places this time, all spots you said you wanted to visit before. Once we finish our theses, we can go together. Then we can just pick the fun places." I honestly found what she said completely absurd, so I interrupted her before she could finish. "Willow, did you soak in seawater too long and get water in your brain? Or did you eat too much seafood and trigger an allergic reaction in your head? You've got a boyfriend, and now you're saying you want to go on a graduation trip with me, a guy. Does that sound appropriate to you? Not to mention, I already confessed to you, and you even said in public that you liked me. Aren't you worried your boyfriend might get mad?" But Willow replied with a sincere, earnest expression, "Makoto would understand. He wouldn't get mad. The relationship between you and me is different." I frowned. "How is it different?" She said, "I see you as a brother." Damn. I clenched my fists so hard, my nails dug deep into my flesh. That was the only reason I didn't slap her right then. The next second, I shoved her aside, put on a cold, expressionless face, and walked into the school with a swagger like I owned the place. David was right. I really fucking stepped on a pile of dog shit that stinks for 10,000 years. Chapter 7. While I was silently raging in the dorm, Willow was happily posting a 9-photo travel collage on WeChat Moments. After scrolling through the pictures, I randomly picked one lucky roommate to help me block her. That very night, Willow called, "George, I'm giving you 3 seconds to add me back on WeChat." 3, 2, before she could even say 1. I hung up and blocked her number as well. Counting down from 3 had always been Willow's go-to way of threatening me. For example, 3 seconds to put your phone away and take out your test paper. 3 seconds to clear the junk in your head and focus on what I'm explaining. 3 seconds to block her on WeChat and cut ties completely. Back then, I used to foolishly put a hazy, romantic filter over everything she said, thinking that whether she was angry or giving me attitude, it was all because she cared about me. Now, looking back, I really wish I could install a faucet in my brain and drain all that water out. After being blocked, Willow didn't care much at first. She thought I would soon give in and take the initiative to make peace. After all, in the 5 years we'd known each other, even when we argued, I was always the one to reach out first. I had never truly been angry at her, even when she kept chasing after Makoto again and again. If, from the very beginning, she had only ever seen me as a friend, but when I still didn't contact her, Willow started sending me breakfast and homemade pastries. While I was revising my thesis based on my advisor's comments, someone knocked on the door again and delivered a box of coconut bread, saying it was from a girl. This was the 8th time in a week that Willow had sent food. I didn't eat a single bite. My roommates, on the other hand, had collectively gained 3 pounds. The delivery person also said Willow would be waiting at the school gate tonight to celebrate my birthday with me. As soon as I heard that, I shut down my computer and left campus 2 hours early. I've never been this proactive, even when it comes to dodging the Grim Reaper. David had invited several friends to celebrate my birthday that night, mostly classmates I used to hang out with in middle school. Only Anna stood out as out of place among them. As soon as we sat down, She handed me a cedarwood-scented car air freshener and said, "Picked it up on the road. It's for you." I couldn't help but laugh. If you picked it up on the road, shouldn't you turn it into the police or lost and found? Why give it to me? Can you not call it out like that? After watching, with a cold expression, the entire scene at the school gate where Willow almost drove me insane. She had gone back to her dorm and laughed alone on her bed for an entire night. David even sent me a video that night, saying his girlfriend secretly filmed it and suspected Anna had been possessed. I said it wasn't possession. At most, she just forgot to take her meds. Just like now, I rubbed my forehead and said, "You staring at me and laughing like that makes me think you're mentally unstable." I gave the suggestion seriously. But she just shook her head casually and kept smiling. It's fine. I was never normal to begin with. Chapter 8. Once everyone arrived, people started egging each other on to play games. How about truth or dare? I waved my hands immediately. Nope, I've got trauma from that. Just hearing those words makes me dizzy and nauseous. Not happening. More than half the people there had witnessed my confession to Willow firsthand. So they all shot me helpless looks. Only Anna enjoyed stirring things up. She said, "Come on, just try it. Think of it as exposure therapy." I rolled my eyes. Do you even have a medical license to be treating me? In the end, everyone except me thought this therapy sounded perfectly reasonable. After a few rounds of drinks, David turned the spotlight on me. "Do you still like someone?" He phrased it subtly, but everyone could hear the meaning behind it. I knew they all cared about whether I could move on from Willow, but I had liked her for 5 years. Was letting go really that easy? At the very least, I'd need 3, 4, 5, 6 months as a buffer. Seeing me stare at my glass, clearly trying to dodge the question, David suddenly acted decisively. He picked up my drink and downed it in one go, not leaving me any room to retreat. "I drank it for you." No dodging. I looked at him, amused. "Seriously, that necessary?" "Don't question it," he said righteously. "Fine." I sighed and answered, "Yeah, there is." Tisk. David glared at me like I was beyond saving. If Anna hadn't been sitting between us, I swear he would have tried to smack me into the ground. After calming himself with a few drinks, he turned to Anna. "What about you? Do you like someone?" She nodded. "Yeah." David immediately leaned in. "Going to confess? We'll give you the chance." He was determined to play matchmaker to the very end. But Anna waved her hand. "No, it's not the right time yet," someone nearby teased. "Anna's showing off again, with a face like a celebrity's. What right time are you waiting for? Afraid he won't like you, unless he's blind." Anna pushed a plate of peanuts toward me and said, "I'm not worried about him not liking me. I'm just waiting for the moment he decides to set aside his conscience and use me for once. To deal with that messy, never-ending idiot of a first love." Everyone burst into cheers and applause. Only I turned my head to look at David, after quietly snatching a couple of peanuts. He had already retreated into a corner. No idea what kind of spell Anna had put on him. He'd sold me out completely. By the end of the night, I hadn't drunk a single glass. Yet I somehow completed my exposure therapy for truth or dare. Anna, on the other hand, was so sober she could have recited an entire classical essay on the spot. But David still insisted that I drive her back to school. When we reached an intersection near campus, Anna said she wanted to get out and walk for a bit, get some fresh air. So I parked by the roadside and followed half a step behind her. She turned around, looking confused. "Are you trying to charge me for the ride?" I smiled. "Just walking it off a bit. I'll walk you to your dorm." Honestly, I still wasn't used to the shift in our relationship. So I asked, "Weren't we always annoyed with each other before? How did you suddenly start liking me?" She said, "It's not sudden. I've liked you for a long time. You just didn't know." I looked completely baffled. "You call the way you used to insult me 3 times in one sentence liking me?" Anna replied confidently. "I just couldn't stand watching you act like an idiot, circling around Willow. And besides, I've liked you longer than you've liked her." She continued. "In my second year of high school, I was cornered in an alley by a group of thugs." She suddenly started reminiscing, catching me completely off guard. I quickly tried to lighten the mood. "Wait, seriously? That cliché. Were you the girl I rescued back then?" "No." Anna turned to me with a smile, enunciating each word clearly. "You were the thug who robbed me." Chapter 9. By my second year of high school, I had already been running with that group of thugs for over a year. And I had built up a bit of a reputation. So things like cornering people and collecting protection fees were part of the routine I had to go through a few times. But my conscience couldn't handle it. So every time after taking the money, I would secretly pay it back out of my own pocket. At some point, by coincidence, I ran into Anna. I said, I was young and stupid back then." I scratched my head awkwardly, a little embarrassed to bring up those old memories. She said, It's fine. I only remember how you later came back with 200 yuan, pretending to just pass by, shoved the money into my hands, and even told me not to take that road again. She tilted her head and laughed softly. It was kind of funny. Under the dim streetlight, her figure was bathed in a soft glow. That memory I had always wanted to quietly bury was lifted out like shimmering dust, but I really liked it, she said. I looked into her smiling eyes. And for that brief moment, I suddenly felt the urge to push aside my conscience, clear out some space in my heart, and let someone else in. But before that impulse could fully take shape, it vanished the moment I caught sight of Willow, standing at the school gate, holding a small cake. In the past, Willow and I had always spent our birthdays together. Other invitations could be moved forward or postponed. But her wishes, I always wanted to receive them on the most important day. Willow must have been standing there, quietly watching us for quite some time, her hand, half raised to greet me, frozen midair, the moment our eyes met. She lowered it and walked toward me with the cake. Did you go out with her tonight? She asked. Her gaze dimmed. But there was a clear trace of resentment beneath it. You stood me up, and went to celebrate your birthday with her. The words, "That's not it," reached my lips, but suddenly, I felt there was no point. Back then, I had willingly let her control my life, telling her everything, big or small, afraid she might misunderstand, afraid she might overthink. But now, even saying one more word to her felt like a waste of time. Seeing my hesitation, my silence, Willow seemed to come to her own conclusion. She lowered her head, looking at the cake in her hands, and said, "You once said the chestnut cake I made was delicious. I spent the whole day making this for you. Your roommate said you went out, so I waited at the gate for 3 hours. I told you before, even if I'm with Makoto now, you're still my best friend. We can be just like before. So why do you have to draw such a clear line between us?" George. When she said my name, her voice trembled. When did things between us become like this? In the end, she still didn't understand. The moment she said she had loved me, we could never go back to being just friends, I replied. Willow, can you not be so selfish? You say I'm your best friend. Did you ever ask me? Did you ask Makoto? Let me make this clear today. Yes, I like you. From high school until now, I've liked you for 5 years. Even if you only saw me as a friend, I could accept that, fine. But you just had to say you loved me. Do you know what that meant to me? Do you know how happy I was when, after 5 years of drifting and struggling, my feelings finally seemed to be returned? But right after I confessed to her, after hearing that she had once felt something for me, she turned around the next day and went straight to Makoto's school overnight, and I, alone, numbed by alcohol, sat there grinning like an idiot all night. Even if you wanted to joke with my feelings, it shouldn't have been like this. After all, I had liked her seriously, so seriously, for 5 whole years. With a blank expression, I said, "Take the cake back. I have principles. I don't get involved with someone who already has a boyfriend. And don't talk about best friend either. Acting innocent after doing something like this just makes me sick. It's getting late. I won't see you off." I turned to leave, only to find my steps unsteady. I could barely stand. Anna reached out and supported my arm. She stepped between me and Willow, and said softly, "Happy birthday. Don't look back anymore." Chapter 10. On the way back to the dorm, I ran lap after lap on the track alone, before my tears could even fall. The cold wind rushing toward me scattered them away. There was still half an hour before midnight. So I stopped by a convenience store and bought a dozen beers, 4 servings of Odin, and a few skewers. The cashier asked if I needed ice. And that's when I realized my eyes were swollen beyond recognition. So I found a quiet corner and put something cold on them for a while. By the time I got back to the dorm, there were only 2 minutes left. Staring at the lighter flame, I silently made a wish. If you want to love someone, love yourself first. From now on, never degrade yourself because of Willow again. She's not worth it. After downing 2 bottles of beer, I started cursing Willow out in the dorm, passionately, emotionally, with full intensity. I practically poured out every insult I'd ever learned in my life. But drunken mistakes happen. When I picked up a call from an unknown number and heard Willow's voice on the other end, I ignored my roommates trying to stop me and threw my phone straight into the toilet. On the first day of being 24, I found myself crouching in the bathroom, fishing out the graduation gift I had just spent a fortune on last month. When David heard about it, he immediately came over to recruit some cheap labor. He dragged me into the mountains to work on a farm for a week. His girlfriend's parents had rented several hills years ago, growing fruit trees and raising chickens, and they were currently short on help, trading a new phone for labor. To me, that sounded like a terrible deal, but he didn't think so. It wasn't until I saw Anna getting into the car that I finally understood what he meant by paying once to hire 2 cheap workers. When I opened the car door, Anna stood outside wearing a white sun protection jacket, smiling brightly at me. David said you wanted to spend a week at a mountain farm, she said. I thought he was joking. Didn't expect you to be this enthusiastic. Clearly, she had no idea she'd been sold into labor. She thought it was just a fun trip. I didn't have the heart to expose the truth. Yeah, figured I'd relax a bit for once, I said. She nodded in agreement. The mountains mainly grew green jujubes and guavas. After the fruits developed, they all had to be wrapped in plastic bags, not just to prevent pests, but also to improve quality. The moment Anna got off the car, she didn't even have time to change clothes before being dragged into work. The men and women were assigned to different hills. Every day, before we were even fully awake, we followed the group up the mountain, and only came back exhausted after nightfall. After 7 days straight like this, aside from briefly seeing each other during meals out in the fields, Anna and I barely exchanged a single word. It wasn't until all the work was finally done that everyone washed up and sat together roasting sweet potatoes. David, sitting beside me, suddenly handed me his phone. The screen showed over 100 missed calls. At first, I thought it was some kind of scam. But when I looked closer, they were all from Willow. He said he hadn't told me on purpose these past few days. Didn't want it to affect my work efficiency. As I scrolled through the WeChat chat logs he showed me, I cursed him out stubbornly. Clearly he was trying to help me vent my anger. Yet he still acted like he didn't care, after being unable to reach me for a whole week, and not knowing where I was. Willow had practically gone crazy, calling and messaging David every day. I skimmed through most of it, mainly apologies and questions about how I was doing. Only one message, sent at 3 a.m. yesterday, was different. She said Makoto had broken up with her. She had gotten drunk and accidentally called the wrong number. Ended up telling Makoto everything about us, from senior year of high school through 4 years of college. She said she couldn't live without me. Said she was wrong, that all these years, the person who had truly been by her side was me. Yet she had stubbornly chased after something distant and intangible. She said she couldn't let go of the humiliation of being publicly rejected by Makoto back then, but in doing so, she had forgotten that the person she truly liked should have been me. David broke a roasted sweet potato in half and handed it to me. Honestly, I really don't want you getting involved with her again, he said, but there's no point hiding this from you either. She just called me again with a different number I accidentally picked up. She said she'll be waiting for you at the school gate tomorrow. She wants to talk things out with you face to face. Chapter 11. Anna happened to walk over with 2 bottles of beer and caught that last sentence. With a blank expression, she squeezed herself between me and David, staring silently at the sweet potatoes roasting over the fire. After a few days of farm work, her skin had tanned quite a bit. She kept a straight face, not even sparing me a proper glance. Sensing the tension, David quickly got up and ran off to find his girlfriend. I handed her the half-eaten roasted sweet potato in my hand in exchange for a bottle of beer and asked, "Mad?" Anna took a bite of the sweet potato and muttered, "Once we're back, you have to treat me to a meal. David's paying, but he's not allowed to come." I couldn't help but laugh. "Deal. I'll make him pay for something big." Seeing me laugh so freely seemed to make her a little uncomfortable. She hesitated, then asked. She broke up, "What do you think?" I tilted my head back and took a long gulp of cold beer. After working non-stop for 7 days, I realized something. I didn't seem to need Willow that much anymore. At the very least, during those 7 days. Not once did she cross my mind. "Don't really think anything," I said. "I'm not Cupid. I can't assign her a new boyfriend." Anna froze for a moment. "That's not what I meant." I knew exactly what she wanted to ask, but I just smiled, raised my beer, and clinked it against hers. "I've already said goodbye to that messy, never-ending idiot of a first love. So, are you still going to keep waiting?" "If you are," I paused slightly, then added with a faint smile, "then I guess it's about time I prepare a confession." Chapter 12. I didn't go to listen to Willow's explanations. I even called her to say I wouldn't be going back to school, telling her not to waste her effort. In these 5 years, everything that had happened between us, I knew it better than anyone. I didn't need her to walk me through it again. But what I didn't expect was that she would wait at the school gate the entire day, from morning until night. After coming down from the mountain, I went out to eat with David and Anna, then got a massage. By the time I got back to school, it was already 11 p.m. Willow was still there. With reddened eyes, she walked toward me again, looking pitiful, like she was about to cry. "George, you're mad at me, aren't you?" she said. She tried to grab my hand, but Anna stepped in midway and blocked her, forcefully putting distance between us. Willow only pressed her lips together, then continued looking at me. "In the past, I did a lot of stupid things for Makoto. I even hurt people around me. I'm sorry, I really am. If there's any way to make it up to you, I can knit scarves just for you." bake only for you. I can take overnight trips just to see you. If that's not enough, then next time we play truth or dare, I can confess to you, and you can reject me in front of everyone. Humiliate me, okay? George, I'll do anything for you, anything, until you're willing to forgive me. As she spoke, her voice began to choke with emotion again. George, please, don't ignore me, okay? I really can't live without you. I stood there, listening to everything she said, and realized I didn't even know how to explain things to her anymore. I was tired. I had given up. I didn't love her anymore. But no matter how many times I said that, she wouldn't believe it. After all, how could someone who had loved her so deeply just change like that? To her, it was just that she hadn't seen her own feelings clearly for a while. So how had everything suddenly become like this? But aside from saying these things, I had nothing else left to say. I let out a sigh and said, Willow, just let it go. I'm really tired and I really don't like you anymore. If you still care even a little about what little friendship we had, then stop bothering me. I truly don't want to see you again. But even this final sentence, Willow still couldn't understand. She kept knitting scarf after scarf for me, just like she promised. The pastries were no longer half-finished samples for me to taste. The reason she ended up in the hospital changed, from being sick to standing in the rain outside my building. She even tried to publicly confess to me, but never managed to see me. She gave up her graduate admission and stayed in this city to find a job, just so that one day I might change my mind. But between us, there had been no future for a long time. Ever since the 5th time she confessed to Makoto,